You are listening to the Business Leadership Podcast with Ed Frondozo.
I'm Paul Newton, creative producer of the Future Narrator miniseries, and I'm joined by Ed Frondozo, the founder of the Business Leadership Podcast. We are recording live at Web Summit in Vancouver 2025, and we're here exploring how today's leaders shape the future, not just through strategy, but through story. We believe that a strong point of view is what inspires communities, builds movements, and cuts through the noise in uncertain times. So let's dive into this conversation. Today's guest has built multiple successful tech businesses and the co-founder partnerships that power them. Tanis Jorge is a serial entrepreneur and tech founder whose career spans multiple ventures, including a unicorn, all launched alongside the same co-founder. With 2 decades of experience navigating the highs and lows of startup life, she's become a leading voice on what it really takes to build and sustain a thriving co-founder relationship. She's the author of the Co-Founder's Handbook, a no-fluff guide to structuring, managing, and strengthening founder partnerships. And through the Co-Founders Hub, Tanis now helps entrepreneurs find the right partners, access the tools they need, and build ventures that go the distance. This one's for anyone who's ever asked, do I need a co-founder? And how do I make it work?
Welcome to the Business Leadership Podcast, Tanis.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
How's your? I'm super excited. First off, helping co-founders coexist. I think you're saving like a lot of mental struggles that many of us entrepreneurs have probably went through before.
Oh, the stories I have heard are heartbreaking, to be honest, very much so. And it's my way of kind of giving back to the community. I wanted to find a way that after I've had this long career, the ability to give back to the entrepreneurs and help flourish and grow businesses, this really was the niche that I could talk from. So I was very excited to find this important topic and to be able to dive into it and help others.
Amazing. And before we really dive into that, Tanis, you were sitting here, Web Summit Vancouver. This seems to be where you belong. Yeah. We're surrounded by startups and founders. I'd love it. We're in day 2 right now. I'd love it if you could just share maybe the first thing that comes to mind, a highlight from your time here.
You know what? It's my hometown. I've been speaking at Web Summit in Lisbon. I spoke at Collision in Toronto, and just to have it here now in Vancouver in our backyard, I'm just so excited for all of North America to put a spotlight on our city here and to be able to see that the tech community really thrives here in Vancouver and in Canada, and to hopefully uplift it. So Web Summit is an incredible, incredible conference for all that reason.
Yeah, and I'm happy to be in Vancouver. The culture here, and just to showcase the culture of Vancouver, right? And it's totally different from the other West Coast cities.
For sure, absolutely.
And obviously Toronto, where I'm from.
And you got the sun yesterday and the rain today, so you get to see it in all its glory.
I love it. Tanis, I'd love it if we could just jump right in. I know you mentioned it, but can you tell us about the Co-Founders Hub and the problem you're solving in the startup culture and founder relationships?
Yeah. So my background, as you had mentioned, is I built 4 tech companies with the same co-founder. We built our first company right out of high school. We were friends in high school. And, we really stumbled through our partnership. We were fortunate to have built such an incredible relationship in school. And then we were able to translate that into business. But as we continue to grow, I started to hear from founders who would ask me, how have you done it? I joke that the quote was, how are you built multiple companies with the same person and you haven't killed each other?
Yes.
That was the real question. And I used to question myself about that. Why would that be? And as I began to just speak with other co-founders to hear their stories, why did you fail? Why did you win? I started to find these trends that, really were like pointers to what would make a partnership flourish and what could actually send it into decline. And I just thought, I need to really dive into this because there's a lot of assistance from, say, coaches or people who are, mentors or corporate coaches, that kind of thing. But real advice from those who've been in the trenches, that was lacking. And so that's when I decided to write the book, because I had so much information and I thought I need to walk people through from the very first question, should I get a co-founder, to how do I find a co-founder, to how do I secure a co-founder, how do we decide equity, roles, titles, how do we, go through that whole process, into now we're in a partnership, how do we make it work? How do we ride this roller coaster ride of a business and then come out on the other end still as friends and succeed? And then ultimately, how do we deal with conflict? How do we and how do we exit? Because at the end, every partnership exits, hopefully in a good way, but sometimes not. And so how do we do that with grace, and that we don't burn bridges, and that we can keep moving forward and be friends? So that's where the book came from.
And make it amicably. I mean, it's amazing. I'm really happy that someone's on the forefront of really the health of two individuals, basically, who are trying to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that you wrote the book about this, right? So
Wrote the book.
so you wrote the book
Uh-huh.
of co-founder relationships.
Okay.
And so I'm really curious how, since the book had been released,
Mhm.
aside from your personal experiences with the same co-founder
Yeah.
and writing the book,
Yeah.
where is your point of view now as you're navigating and being in communication with community?
Yeah.
And how do you see it differently now in terms of where you were before?
One of the titles that I end up kind of putting to it, or one of the insights that I discovered, is that the co-founder partnership's really like the Trojan horse. It comes in the very beginning, and sometimes on the other side, once it's in, you don't realize it. You invite it in. I'm inviting a co-founder into my business. And then if you don't do the proper due diligence, if you don't have the really hard conversations, if you don't do the hard work in the beginning, that co-founder comes in, or that partnership comes into your business. And like I said, it's a Trojan horse, opens up inside, and it's just filled with nothing but struggle and ways where you can often fail before you even start your business. Just signing that partnership agreement, you're already doomed yourself if you haven't done that due diligence. And so that's one of the insights that I've realized. If I am able to get somebody before they start a partnership, there's so much that we can do to kind of really make sure that, like I said, the conversation's in place, the expectations are communicated. No one's expecting the other person to do something and then finding out, oh, why did you do it? Well, you never told me, or we never discussed it. And so really being able to get to somebody early on is great. And then, of course, helping people through those early stages where it's really the honeymoon stage, right? We are like, we're building the next Facebook. We're like, we're going to succeed. Everything's glorious. But those hard times come. And so we really need to help them to understand that before those hard times come, you got to be intentional now. You got to be intentional when it feels like you don't need to be intentional. Now is the time to set that framework before the emotions and the resentment and the mistrust and all those things pop into play. Let's create that framework now.
So obviously, right out of high school, you just knew all this,
Oh,
right?
totally.
Yeah.
Oh my
and
gosh,
your
I was a
bestie, you were
prodigy. I
just
was a prodigy.
Yeah, you're an expert.
Exactly. I started.
And you're an expert on relationships and navigating all this with your
I
friend
wish.
out of high school. So, what do you think is unique about you that you could just stick with it for all these years?
I think our secret sauce, I was very fortunate. Stephen is an incredible person. He's, we ended up aligning our roles. He was CEO, I was COO often of all of our companies. And he just is excellent at his role. But I always say, I realize we have two very great superpowers between the two of us. I am excellent at strategy, at sort of identifying all the particular paths we could go. But he's excellent at, when we pick a spot, he's excellent at keeping us on that. Whereas I'll just keep looking at options everywhere, and he can streamline that. So that was a really great superpower. The other thing that I think really helped us stand apart is that we really could listen to each other when we disagreed. We were able to, he would say, oh, I think we need to take this path. And I'd be like, I think we need to take this path. And be like, well, why? And well, I really think this. And then what could happen at many times is that, oh, I think we decided, oh, you're more passionate about it, or you really believe it. Okay, let's go with what you're doing. And I think we were really able to give and take so much that we were able to sort of duck and weave through the complicated discussions and situations that we found ourselves in our business. So I think that was our two major superpowers that got us to where we were. We were lucky to find each other. Let's put it that way.
So the fortune came into play.
Yes.
But I mean, you must have some way of managing emotions, or the different, like the things that just want to bubble up and explode.
Yeah, laughter is a big one. Like we laugh a lot. We spend a lot of time not just in business, but also sharing our lives together. I think that's another big piece of it as well. But communicating, another piece of our, as we built our business, we were big whiteboarders. So we would often frequently have this whiteboard, and I called it our choose our own adventure, where we would draw out all the possible, ways our business could go, right down to the very last decision. But what we didn't realize was that was really aligning our vision together. And then we'd go off and do our thing. But those whiteboarding sessions where we truly saw all the options for the business and we really talked it through, it took away a lot of those, questions about, which direction we're going, or how do I make a decision when he's not there, or vice versa. But we knew the direction we were going together, so we could make these decisions separately and still be aligned as we go. And I think those real whiteboarding sessions ended up being a really key piece of our success, because it kept us on the same path often.
And do you think the whiteboarding allowed you both to feel heard and seen?
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah, absolutely. What do you think about this? And how about if we did that? And every whiteboarding session was almost exciting too, because if you don't do that, if you're just sort of, even if it's in your brain or you're just sort of thinking about it, you don't just see all the possibilities that your company has. And it's actually really invigorating and really exciting that it's like, oh, I'm not just stuck here. I really have control of our future in this business. And we could, map those paths out. And I think it kept the journey exciting.
And it's almost like it always turned things into more. Like you
Yeah,
weren't losing,
definitely.
you were winning.
Oh, yeah. And then, what about this? Yeah, what about that? Oh, we could do this, we could do that. But then in the end, we were able to go, okay, we see all this now, but where are we going to go to today? What's the next single step that we're going to take forward into this path? And so again, we were just always aligned. And I see so many co-founders who don't do that, who don't, you ask one, where are you going to be in 5 years? And one says, we're acquired. The other one says, oh, we're probably getting ready to pass the company on to my oldest son.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, maybe you should talk to one another, right?
Yeah.
So we do those kind of questions with co-founders just to make sure, find out what is their health of their relationship. Are you guys on the same page? Those questions can be really telling.
And do you have a sense that you sniff things out? You take one look and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, you know what? No, because I think as founders, we've become really, really good at wearing a mask in public. We always, as founders, have to be the confident ones. We have to carry the weight of that responsibility of the business. So we're always kind of we know how to put the front on that all is well. So our investors are confident, and our customers and our employees are all confident. So you don't always see from the outside co-founders if there's issues. A lot of times everyone's like, oh no, we're great. And then I get an email, that night from one of the co-founders saying, we're a mess. We haven't talked. We're speaking to each other through our office manager right now, we need help, and so it's, or one co-founder's like, I want to exit and I don't know how to tell my partner. And, I don't want to do this anymore, and help me. It's all that stuff that is being internalized that they don't feel comfortable or are afraid to put forward to their partner. And so I like to help them get those conversations going.
And I mean, I know you've navigated a lot of things, but did you ever feel at that point?
Totally. Absolutely. Especially Trulio was a hard one for me. When we started Trulio, I had 2 kids under the age of 2. And I initially wasn't even going to be a part of the company. I was just going to be silent, actually. And then when I kind of got pulled in and realized the potential, and we got excited about it. And I always say entrepreneurship always sucks you right back in once you leave. And so I was back in it again. But it was a struggle for me just to be able to be mom and COO of a rocket ship tech company. And so we had to have those conversations. And I was always afraid to bring these hard times that I was having personally with my co-founder, to say, hey, listen, this time around, this 4th company we're doing together, it's a hard one. It's a hard one with all these extra responsibilities. And then eventually us deciding that for me, I wanted to step out of the day-to-day. And so 6 years into that thing, we found a replacement for me, and we were able to walk. But that was a hard conversation. Yeah.
So when you get to that point,
Mm-hmm.
are there things that you should be addressing, maybe, a few steps back?
Yeah.
Or,
definitely.
And what would it be?
One of the things I tell co-founders is, at the end of the day, you are the foundation of your business. And so many times when a foundation or when the co-founder partnership falls apart, the company is not falling, or it falls apart not too far after. And so I try to explain, listen, just for just for your own personal success, just really understand those statistics. And so from early on, there's no reason why you're not transparent, authentic, honest with one another, because it doesn't pay to have one of you, not on side, or one of you with a different opinion, or one of you looking a different direction, because when the company falls apart, everybody loses. So I often say it as like you're two people holding the wheel of a ship.
Mhm.
And, if one thinks they're going to go this way and the other one thinks you're going to go the other way, just imagine that tug that's happening on either side. And so you can't win. You can't win when you do that. So the more honest and the more transparent you are, and the more authentic you are, and the more that you're able to talk about, what you're feeling, even on a personal level, even what's happening with your, spouse at home and your kids and your parents and your family around you, sharing that with your co-founder, it gives a lot of color to why maybe you came in late 3 times this week. And your co-founder is not going, oh, gosh, are you not working? Like, what's the deal, right? So
Yeah.
really being honest, it really pays dividends. So from the day one, be honest, be truthful.
And is that what you brought to the table, like right since high school?
I think so, because we were such great friends. I think we had grown to, share our lives together. Through the teenage years, you're obviously very honest with each other about life, and so I think that was something that we did early on. Yeah, we shared those stories.
That's so nice to see it still carrying out.
Yeah. We're still great friends now.
Tanis, this is amazing. I mean, as I sit here listening to you talk and share, I think about, many different opportunities and different partnerships I've gone through. And, I, as a podcaster, I always say my therapy is just sharing to the world.
Yes, for sure.
But it takes time. I'm a tech founder. I'm a computer engineer. So, it took time. I'm good with the word, but I think opening up, especially the very technical founders, that's foreign language, right? So that's like it's got to learn. And so I'm really happy that, you wrote the book, you're out there, you're telling people there's a way.
Yes.
So we're really happy to have you here and really do this. But before we let you go, you gave actually too much advice now, but my question is like, what's your last? So if it's not around co-foundership, can you perhaps, whatever first comes to mind, there's no there's no right or wrong suggestion here. Any thoughts, final thoughts, advice, or suggestions to either the founder, the CEO, or the business leader who's listening today?
Yeah. Just any kind
Whatever
of
comes to
business,
mind.
any business advice
It could be life.
or life. Man,
Go with the first one that comes.
watch out for AI.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a
Be
mic
ready.
drop. That's a mic drop.
Stay ready.
Yeah,
Be ready.
that's
Be ready.
amazing. Thank you for joining us on the Business
Thank
Leadership
you.
Podcast today.
Awesome.
You are listening to the Business Leadership Podcast with Ed Frondozo.